Have you ever wondered why some people command instant respect, while others are ignored, even laughed at? What is it that separates a person who is feared and respected from someone who is treated as ordinary? The answer is not always found in wealth, status, or even intelligence. The secret lies deeper, in the psychology of power, perception, and control. Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker often called the father of political realism, dedicated his life to studying these patterns of human behavior. His writings in The Prince remain some of the most controversial works in philosophy, because they reveal a darker, hidden side of human nature. He believed that people are not always guided by morality, but by fear, desire, and survival. And when you understand how these forces shape behavior, you gain a kind of power that others cannot easily resist. In today's video, we explore Machiavelli's dark wisdom on why people start fearing you when you do this one thing. We'll break it down into 7 key parts, so you can see how his timeless insights apply not just to rulers and leaders, but to everyday life, at work, in relationships, and in personal growth. So stay with me until the end, because by the time we finish, you will see exactly why. Machiavelli believed fear can sometimes be more powerful than love, and how you can apply this truth to create strength, resilience, and influence in your own life. Now let's begin with part 1. Part 1. The power of perception. Machiavelli believed that power is not only about what you actually do, but about how people perceive what you do. Human beings live in a world of appearances, symbols, and impressions. People rarely see the full truth about you. They only see what you allow them to see. For Machiavelli, this was crucial. If you want people to fear you, you don't necessarily need to be cruel or violent. Instead, you must project an image of authority, strength, and decisiveness. People fear what they believe you are capable of, not always what you actually do. Consider how leaders, bosses, or even charismatic individuals hold influence. They don't have to constantly demonstrate their power. Instead, they cultivate a reputation that precedes them. Machiavelli writes that a prince, or anyone in a position of influence, must always appear strong, confident, and in control. Even if behind the scenes you face doubts, failures, or weaknesses, these must remain invisible. Why? Because once others perceive you as weak or indecisive, they stop fearing you. They test your boundaries, question your authority, and in time lose respect. On the other hand, if you project unwavering strength, people hesitate to cross you. Fear is created not by endless displays of aggression, but by the quiet, controlled projection of power. In modern life, this lesson is everywhere. Think of a workplace. A manager who constantly apologizes, hesitates to make decisions, or tries too hard to be liked, often loses the respect of their team. But a manager who makes decisions confidently, sets clear boundaries, and maintains composure under pressure creates an environment where people take them seriously, even if they rarely raise their voice. Machiavelli teaches us that fear begins with perception. If others perceive you as someone who cannot be pushed, who does not bend easily, and who carries themselves with dignity, then fear grows naturally. This isn't about arrogance, it's about embodying a presence that says, "I know my strength and I will not let you take advantage of me." That is the first secret. You do not need to fight to be feared. You only need to master how you are perceived. Part 2. The balance between love and fear. One of Machiavelli's most famous questions is this: is it better for a leader to be loved or to be feared? His answer is both simple and shocking. It is safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is fragile. People love you when it is convenient for them. They love you when you provide benefits, kindness, or comfort. But love fades when circumstances change. If you can no longer provide what people want, their love disappears. On the other hand, fear is rooted in caution. Fear makes people think twice before crossing you, betraying you, or disrespecting you. Fear provides a kind of stability that love cannot. But Machiavelli did not encourage cruelty without purpose. He understood that a ruler, or any person of influence, must maintain a careful balance. If you are only feared and people see you as a tyrant, they will eventually rebel. But if you are only loved, people may take advantage of you. Ignore your boundaries or dismiss your authority. The key is to combine both, to inspire enough respect and even admiration to build loyalty, while maintaining enough fear to prevent betrayal. Think of this balance like a scale. Too much kindness without firmness and people will treat you as soft. Too much fear without humanity and people will secretly conspire against you. But if you strike the middle path, where people appreciate your presence, yet know there are consequences for crossing you, then you have achieved true authority. Machiavelli warns against being naive. He tells us that most people are self-interested. They follow when it benefits them and they abandon when it does not. Love is conditional, but fear, when wisely cultivated, and is more reliable, because it sets boundaries that cannot be ignored. In today's world, this lesson is profound. In relationships, for example, being endlessly nice without asserting boundaries often leads to being taken for granted. In business, leaders who only seek to be liked are often manipulated by those who pretend to respect them. But when you carry yourself with authority, make it clear that disrespect has consequences, and refuse to tolerate betrayal, people begin to both respect and fear you. Machiavelli's wisdom here is not about cruelty, but about strength. He shows us that true influence lies not in choosing between love and fear, but in knowing how to use both, with fear providing the foundation that ensures love is not abused. Part 3. The power of boundaries and consequences. Machiavelli understood something that modern psychology continues to confirm. People test limits. If you allow others to cross your boundaries without consequence, they will push further until respect is lost. Fear, he argued, grows when people recognize that stepping beyond your boundaries will result in a cost they are unwilling to pay. This principle can be seen everywhere. In families, parents who never enforce rules often find that their children ignore them. In workplaces, employees who see a boss tolerate disrespect or disobedience quickly lose respect for that authority. In personal relationships, people who fail to set boundaries are often exploited. Machiavelli taught that a wise leader must never issue threats that are not enforced. If you say there will be consequences, those consequences must be real. Empty words destroy authority, but firm, consistent action builds fear and respect. He also noted that it is better to enforce consequences early, rather than waiting until disrespect has grown beyond control. A small act of firmness at the beginning prevents larger rebellions later. In The Prince, he explains how rulers who fail to act decisively when first challenged often invite greater chaos because people begin to sense weakness. Applied today, this means we must cultivate the courage to say no, to walk away, or to take decisive action when others violate our trust. The moment people see that we enforce our boundaries without hesitation, they think twice before testing us again. This is not about cruelty, it is about self-respect. People fear not the threat itself, but the certainty that the threat will be carried out. When you build a reputation for following through, even in small matters, fear takes root. And with it comes respect, because deep down, people admire those who live with integrity, strength, and consistency. Part 4. Control through mystery and silence. One of Machiavelli's most overlooked insights is the power of mystery. People fear what they cannot fully understand. When you are predictable, when every thought and action is revealed, others feel comfortable. But when you remain partially hidden, when people cannot easily read your motives, you create uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. Machiavelli wrote that rulers should avoid being too transparent. because human beings are quick to exploit weakness. Instead, he suggested maintaining a sense of distance, a certain veil of secrecy. This forces others to remain cautious, never quite sure of what you might do. Think about how this works in real life. A person who shares every detail of their plans, emotions, and intentions becomes easy to manipulate. But someone who speaks less reveals little, and acts unexpectedly keeps others off balance. Silence used wisely is a weapon. It makes people uneasy, because they cannot predict whether you will respond with kindness, indifference, or firmness. Machiavelli also believed that appearances should be carefully crafted. You do not need to reveal your true goals, only what is necessary to maintain authority. He argued that people judge not by truth but by appearances, and so appearances must always work in your favor. Modern psychology supports this. Studies show that unpredictability often creates stronger reactions than consistency. In relationships, for example, if someone never knows exactly how you will respond, they become more attentive and cautious. In negotiations, withholding too much information can make the other side nervous and careful. The fear you create here is subtle but powerful. It is not the fear of punishment, but the fear of the unknown. When people cannot easily predict your thoughts, emotions, or actions, they tread carefully around you. Machiavelli knew this secret well. Control is not always about force, but about the art of leaving others uncertain. Part 5. Strength over kindness. Machiavelli shocked his readers when he argued that it is dangerous to rely too much on kindness. While kindness may win temporary affection, it does not guarantee long-term loyalty or respect. In fact, excessive kindness is often interpreted as weakness. He observed that human beings are selfish by nature. When treated with endless generosity, many people do not respond with gratitude but with entitlement. They begin to expect more, and when they do not receive it, they turn against the very person who gave them everything. Instead, Machiavelli advised that true strength requires measured kindness that does not compromise authority. He believed that a wise leader should be willing to act with mercy when it benefits stability, but must never hesitate to show firmness when kindness is abused. This principle can be seen in modern leadership as well. A leader who constantly forgives mistakes without accountability eventually creates a culture of carelessness. But a leader who balances fairness with firmness commands both loyalty and respect. In personal life, this lesson is just as powerful. People often chase approval by being too nice, thinking it will earn them lasting affection. But Machiavelli would argue that such behavior only invites exploitation. Instead, kindness should be a conscious choice, not a default reaction. When combined with strength, kindness becomes a gift that people value. But when given without boundaries, it becomes a weakness that people exploit. Fear in this sense does not mean cruelty. It means showing others that your kindness is not infinite, and that your strength will always come before your desire to please. When people know that your goodwill has limits, they respect you more deeply. They may still love you, but beneath that love lies something stronger: caution, respect, and yes, a measure of fear. Part 6. The fear of loss. Machiavelli often reminded rulers that people are more motivated by the fear of losing what they already have than by the hope of gaining something new. Human nature, he argued, is deeply tied to security, possessions, and comfort. Take something away and fear awakens instantly. This principle can be seen throughout history. Rulers who threatened people's land, traditions, or livelihoods quickly discovered that fear of loss drove rebellions more than any promise of reward. In personal life, the same rule applies. People resist losing status, reputation, or even relationships far more strongly than they pursue new opportunities. Machiavelli suggested that a wise leader can use this truth to maintain authority. By controlling what others stand to lose, you ensure their loyalty. This does not always mean material possessions. Sometimes it is about opportunities, privileges, or even emotional connections. When people know that disrespect, betrayal, or disobedience will cost them something valuable, they become cautious. Modern psychology echoes this through what is called loss aversion. The idea that the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the joy of gaining. A boss who makes it clear that promotion depends on loyalty creates a system where fear of loss outweighs personal ambition. A friend who sets firm limits signals that betrayal will mean losing the relationship. Fear of loss is not about cruelty. It is about clarity. It shows people that their actions carry weight, that what they value can disappear if boundaries are crossed. In this way, fear protects order, stability, and respect far more effectively than promises of love or reward. Part 7. The Legacy of Fear. Machiavelli believed that true authority is measured not just in the present, but in the legacy one leaves behind. Fear, when cultivated wisely, creates a reputation that outlives immediate interactions. People speak of you differently even when you are not in the room. This legacy is not about terror or cruelty. It is about establishing yourself as someone who is not to be underestimated. People may admire you, they may even love you, but what they remember most is that crossing you has consequences. This reputation travels faster than your actual presence. In The Prince, Machiavelli noted that rulers who built reputations for decisiveness and firmness were remembered long after their reigns ended. Their names carried weight. Their authority survived their absence. On the other hand, those who relied solely on kindness or generosity were often forgotten or betrayed. In today's world, legacy works in similar ways. A professional who is known for being strong, fair, and unyielding to disrespect leaves behind a legacy that shapes careers and communities. A person in relationships who is remembered as dignified, principled, and unwilling to tolerate betrayal carries a fear-based respect that protects their memory. Machiavelli's wisdom here is timeless. People may not always remember every kind act you perform, but they will always remember the strength you displayed and the boundaries you enforced. Fear, in this sense, becomes part of your legacy, lasting reminder that your presence cannot be taken lightly. Ending. The Machiavellian truth. So what is the one thing that makes people start fearing you? It is not cruelty. It is not violence. It is not endless displays of dominance. According to Machiavelli, people fear you when they realize that you cannot be manipulated, disrespected, or controlled. They fear you when your perception projects strength. They fear you when you balance love with caution. They fear you when your boundaries are enforced. Your mystery keeps them guessing. Your strength rises above empty kindness. Their losses depend on your will, and your legacy demands respect. This is the dark wisdom of Machiavelli. Fear, when cultivated wisely, is not about destruction, but about protection. It protects your dignity, your authority, and your influence. It ensures that others take you seriously, even when they do not fully understand you. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that love may inspire, but fear secures. Love is fragile, but fear endures. If you found value in this exploration of Machiavelli's philosophy, remember to reflect on how these lessons apply in your own life, in your workplace, in your relationships, in your personal journey. Strength and fear must walk alongside kindness and love. Only then will you achieve the balance that makes people not just admire you, but respect you deeply. This was Machiavelli's dark wisdom and a guide to understanding why people start fearing you when you do they